So friends, we continue to follow the news and events on the fronts of Ukraine and Russia, and today there is some good news but both and some sad news. And in the Kupiansk direction, despite ongoing battles, some of the clashes have been recorded on the occupied territory itself, which indicate that the Ukrainian forces are conducting counterattacks and reclaiming their positions under control. Whether the front line will change and stabilize remains to be seen, but the most important thing is that today the occupiers are putting all their efforts into this direction to gain control over the strategic hub in Kupiansk-Uzlovy. So they need the railway for further advancement, and therefore the Ukrainian forces are actively repelling the advancing occupiers in this direction. Attacks practically don't cease, only pausing briefly for regrouping, and the front line has also subjected to shelling, and strikes are hitting Kupiansk. But the Ukrainian forces are repelling these attacks, and the front line remains unchanged over the past day. And in the Svatove direction, the occupiers can no longer conduct offensive actions. It seems they lack the strength for attacks in all directions, so today's shelling is ongoing. Interestingly, the Russians have decided to use a drone to destroy grain storage facilities in the Izum of the Kharkiv region. And overall, the Russians are attempting to inflict maximum damage on Ukrainian territory, it seems to me. And in the Crimea and Siversk areas, shelling continues, and the occupiers are not daring to launch offensive actions. The front line remains unchanged, and the Ukrainian forces in a defensive posture. Currently, there is no movement of our troops towards Crimea. And in the Bakhmut direction, the occupiers have increased the number of shelling incidents along the entire front line and in the rear. In the area of Klishchiivka and Andriivka, the occupiers haven't achieved any success. However, their actions prevent the Ukrainian forces from establishing a stable presence, creating a gray zone in this area. Additionally, a video has appeared online showing the Russian presence in Bakhmut. So it's very awful. I even don't know how to comment this. Okay, let's go to the Avdiivka direction. And in the Avdiivka direction, the occupiers are once again attacking the outskirts of Avdiivka and conducting shelling along the entire front line. And further south, battles are raging in the areas of Krasnogorivka and Mariinka. Moreover, their shelling is not limited to just frontline settlements. Strikes are being delivered as far as 20 kilometers into the territory. And as I mentioned in the previous video, in the Vuhledar direction, the liberation of the populated area of Urozhaine has been officially confirmed, and I suggest watching the video posted by the 35th Marine Brigade about the liberation of Urozhaine. For enemy in panic, leave Urozhaine.
Justice
So this signifies that the Ukrainian forces have completely cleared the village of occupiers and established control. The work continues, and the Ukrainian armed forces are now advancing toward the village Zavitne Bajanya. The occupiers are attempting to launch their attacks to help the Ukrainian armed forces progress, but despite their efforts, the advance continues and success is on the side of the Ukrainian armed forces. Remember it. And let's move to the Zaporizhia direction. And in the Zaporizhia direction, the occupiers are actively shelling the entire front line today and attempting to prevent the Ukrainian forces from preparing for another wave of offensive actions. And currently, tactical battles are the main focus due to the ongoing situation. And unfortunately, we must truly comprehend that the situation is quite challenging. Despite this, the Ukrainian forces continue to advance, paying a high price for the liberation of territories. Of course, the Russians always exaggerate the losses of the Ukrainian forces to somehow justify their periodic retreats. And while there are indeed losses, so the Ukrainian forces are inflicting heavy casualties on the occupiers, and as of today, 350 Russian occupiers have left the front line permanently. And in the Kherson direction, let's move to the Kherson direction. So in the Kherson direction, the situation remains unchanged and shelling continues without pause. The occupiers still fully control here Kinburn Speed and are conducting shelling from there towards Charkiv. And during the night, they used drones to launch an attack. Launch an attack on a grain storage facility in the Odessa region in the Izmail district. Unfortunately, the strike hit the target accurately and the grain storage facility was destroyed. And also new footage of the detonation of the automotive and railway sections of the Crimean Bridge in July has also emerged. So let's see. So impressive. And today, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of India, Subramanian Shah, made a statement commenting on the decision not to invite Ukraine to the G20 summit. So he said that the G20 is a group focused on global economic growth and development issues. It's a summit for discussing energy, fertilizers, food supplies. It's the G20, not the UN Security Council. So, okay. Meanwhile, North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un has reportedly sent a letter to the Kremlin vowing to strengthen relations with the country on the measures, as reported by the Washington Post site and the official Central Information Agency of North Korea. So the letter said that Kim conveyed to Putin that North Korea's relationships with Russia will further develop into long-term strategic relations. Okay. And we also have news that Romania will train Ukrainian pilots on F-16 jets, according to a statement on the Romanian president's website. A regional training center will be established for this purpose. And here is how the world's legendary aircraft, the Antonov An-225 Mriya, looks today. So experts from the state enterprise Antonov are dismantling preserved components. These spare parts could assist in constructing a new version of the airliner if such a decision is made. And please remember that Mriya was destroyed by the Russians at the Gostomel airport in February 2022. And today, the Security Service of Ukraine provided CNN journalists with interviewing footage that captures the attack on the Crimean bridge using an experimental maritime drone.
Drone strike there in July from the Ukrainian security services, the SBU, who say they did it and more will follow. This is exactly what the drone pilots saw. Thermal imagery, the water rippling as up to a ton of explosive approaches the bridge. The feed then obviously went dead as it hit the concrete. Russian officials said 2 civilians died in the attack. Cameras on the bridge captured the first blast on the road section. The cursor shows the drone moving in. And another on the railway track.
So, the operation took place on July 17th, and the security service on Ukraine openly took responsibility for it for the first time. The head of the security service of Ukraine, Vasyl Maluk, stated that the utilized drone named Sea Baby is the result of months of development that began right after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And I also suggest taking a look at how the maritime drones Sea Baby developed by the Security Service of Ukraine are beautiful. And that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and write in comments what do you think about all of this. Bye bye.